Okay, today is Saturday, March 24th, and it rained an inch overnight. It's like 65 degrees. The rest of the foot snowpack that did not previously melt is gone. So we are out today with a rake and some orange tape. Now, this is kind of a little warm for March 7th in Buffalo, but seems like the weather's been about 2 weeks early this winter. So in January, beginning of January, I think January 4th to be exact, it was like, I don't know, 65 degrees again. So I had time to go through and clean up all my drainage work here. So that's all working really good. This is all in pretty good shape really for early spring with lots of snow melt and lots of rain and not warm temperatures. So yeah, we're in this section seems to be in pretty good shape here. Probably should get the leaf blower out and get all the leaves off of that, because that will start to decay that stuff too much. Yeah, well, this section of trail is like really good, where we've armored it and put some wood chips down and everything. So I'm happy with this. And late in the fall, all the way into November, we were able to get in here with the brush cutter, and we cleaned up the brush line here. So I think even in January, we were able to clean out some of the broken brush, and of course all the wind damaged tree over the last few months we were able to get out in between the snow and everything. So this section of trail is okay. I'm happy. Okay, so here's the end of the armoring section, and that is not armored, and it's only just because out of time and out of logs at the moment. So, well, when I was doing it, so this section was less bad than all of this section for pulling my hand cart through here. So this is like probably the worst that it gets. It just after snow melt, just after some good rain, heavy rains. So this still, you know, I can probably still get through here with pulling the hand cart, but this section is meant to get armored, just like that section. But no more bridges type of thing, just flat armoring, just laying boards down and putting wood chips and dirt on top. And the plan has been, and still is, you know, given that I live long enough, that's always a consideration these days, is all the way up to this part right here, because then this gets a little bit higher, right? And then we have that section we'll talk about in a minute. But it looks like, you know, our drainage through here is picking up water, taking it that way. This we're going to get armored in the near future. But let's look at this one. This one flows down that way, and we clean that out in the beginning of January. This one is actually designed to flow north this way, because it's supposed to, and it looks like I might have to clean this out a little bit. It's supposed to meet up with this trench, which goes at a southwest angle. And you can see this does a pretty good job of cleaning up the water in this whole section here. This used to be under inches of water. I pulled a couple of logs out of here, fallen trees over the winter, so we might have to come back in and just clean up the trench a little bit. Yeah, I'll just clean that up a little bit, but this seems like it's working pretty good, taking water down to the main waterway. Yeah. All right, so we'll have to come back with that little rake to finish that part. All right, there was a big tree. You can see that was right there. I was laying that way. We cleaned that up for my neighbor, so that opens up his trail part. Yeah, this section, this is just some armoring, just boards. Some of them's getting holes. I might replace this. In the summer, we'll get these brush piles done. It goes right there. That's what those, I'm going to use those boards for, is a backdrop for making a wood chip pile. So this is the section we didn't finish last spring. As you can see, we put all these down and we put it level with the ground to not impede traffic, which would be cross traffic. This is the main trail, right? So main trail, and we don't want to impede traffic, so we kind of like not buried it, but put it at grade level. And this one, I ran out of boards, so this section did not get finished, but I did have boards, and I made the next two sections for that, and it is nice and muddy, and this is like the optimum time to put it in, because it's like self-leveling. You just put it there, step on it, it sinks in the mud where it's supposed to sink, and it's good. So that will be a project. I just gotta hand pull those out with my cart. So today's project is, I did not get back out here and get all the leaves off of this. So now this is kind of like a slippery when wet type of issue. So that is what the rake is for. We're gonna rake all that stuff off because I need to ride this because that's too wet, soon to be too muddy. And did I mention no bugs, no allergies? I take the mud, you know, no bugs, no mud, no allergies. Happens when things are still frozen early spring, because this will be muddy for a while, but no bugs, no allergies. Yahoo! I'll take the mud. All right, those leaves are pretty heavy. Might be better with a garden rake. Right now, we'll do a little bit. You can see we got lots to do. We'll do a little more. This coat's got to come off. All right, we spent like, I don't know, 15-20 minutes and did up this part. Yeah, my arms are saying that this is something to spread over a few days. Be good exercise a little bit every day, so that's what we're gonna do. But let's talk about the boardwalk. So boardwalk is useful, somewhat necessary, and this time of the month especially, or this time of the year when this all gets way too muddy. It's like be 6 inches of mud if you try to pull a cart through it, or a tractor, my small tractor. And last year, I think it was the beginning of last year, I kind of like reset a lot of these. But over the summer, it got really hot and dry, and all these boards were starting to twist and cup and everything. But you can see with the application of a long time soak of water that they have flattened all out. So my thought was to make some spikes out of rebar, 1/2-inch rebar, and some plate or flat stock. Make little spikes and punch those in so they don't go this way, they don't go this way, and they don't go this way. And that will hold them, hopefully, in a more stable position, because once they start to dry, then they kind of flip up a bit and you drive over them, they kick sideways. So that has been an ongoing ponderance of how to do that. And just, it's always been to take a bunch of the wood chips, which I have a lot of, that's why we have a lot, is to put a bunch in here and kind of like level it out so I can drive my little tractor, my John Deere RX-73, wheel on this one, wheel over here, and I just run it right down here and cut the grass instead of having to hand cut it with the brush cutter. But it's kind of like too bumpy for the wheels on the tractor, so I would put a bunch of wood chips in here just to give it some leveling. Okay, this is the newest section that we worked on last summer, and it's a transition from boardwalk to the main trail. So I can, and this all looks like it did really well over the winter. Yeah. So you can see how nice it is to walk here, and soon you will see that it's not nice to walk on this section of the trail for a long time, because here we go. And the intent is to armor this section as the breadths allow, because this is just a wet section in here, and there's no easy way to get around it on the side, because there's a pond there and there's trees over there. So we're just going to armor all this way. And you probably can't see this, but here is a boardwalk right in this section that goes down along here. So intent is to tie this boardwalk into the main trail, accommodate a side trail. So that's like a work in progress. Yeah, I think I did pretty good last year. I made pretty good progress cutting boards and laying them down. And this main trail also has a side trail that has to connect into it. So that's another part of the ponderance. Okay, so this tree broke part of this wind damage over the winter. We got that prepped in like 2 foot of snow, and we got the rest of them taken out when it thawed and froze, but then more snow came. So I got these to take out, got this one to winch out and cut up. I can get them on the boardwalk, but that's the section that's too muddy to pull them through, so things have to wait for that. Let's have a look at this. So when I was redoing this section of the trail, I put in this like little bridge. That's one section, 2 sections. There's a bulkhead there and a bulkhead there. You can kind of see it's open underneath, and you can kind of see water is coming out from this way, because we got water that wants to come this way and water that wants to come down this way. So I made it a little pathway. Instead of barricading it so it turns into a pond, I gave it a little pathway for the water to come out, and it looks like it actually is working. Awesome. All right, let's check this out. This is kind of fun to see that things actually working. All right, so this, let's look backwards. This is a waterway. So we made this to be open in relief so the water can go through, and you can kind of see it's finding a way. But it's a little plugged. I might just pull that up and open it a bit. But that water goes underneath, all the way underneath here. There's an open channel that we left, an underground viaduct. And then it comes out underneath here and heads down that way. And you can kind of see this one too is the same thing. Here's the fall line. That's where the water is coming down. And we designed it so that the water would just go right underneath. And you can kind of see it gurgling there. All right. So those live in action working. Awesome. Ooh, these are a little slippery. And actually, this over here is a small waterway. And we did is we left a little opening underneath there so the water could go underneath, connect to that channel, and go down. All right, this is the other part, and you can kind of see the water coming down. It's traveling at a good clip through the grate, if you will, grate / ramp, and then that goes underneath into there. So I think this one probably has to get cleaned out, but I think that one on the other side I need to open up and see what's going on. Some of it still might be frozen, so the ground might be heaved. Yeah, something to do.